Hey guys, so I'm going to talk to you guys about hand traps. Now, we just went through a video where I spoke to you about the three types of decks that you have in the game, with it being control decks, combo decks, and mid-range decks, where it goes in like this little triangle format where your deck falls in one of these one of these pieces. And then sometimes you have outliers like Mitsurugi, which can sometimes play as a uh, mid-range deck with a whole lot of hand traps. Can sometimes play as a combo deck where it's used in an engine to bridge and to make more stronger boards. Think of something like what we saw with Mitsurugi Raizio. Or it could be a control deck where you're just playing Mitsurugi and a whole lot of like stalling, back rowy type of cards, a lot of traps and things. So yeah, but to not complicate it any further, um, we got control, combo, mid range, and I want to talk to you now about what makes these decks in terms of hand trap space, just purely on the hand trap space, hand trap count, and then I want to talk to you about cards that are going to be popular in the format if I think they are worth it. I'm not going to do a tier list because this is on a playing mat, not on a computer screen, but I will rank them a little bit in some way, shape, or form. So, mid range decks, you're looking at something between 15, 20 hand traps. Maybe you can go like that. A lot of non engine space, a lot of things that you can throw in and chuck in to make your deck a little bit more hand trappy. And then control decks. Control decks, you might be looking at 3 to 6 hand trap space, but you have a whole lot of other cards that act as hand traps or act as interruptions. Think of things like Droplets, Fallen and Virtuous, MSTs, Forbidden Crowns, well, Sky Strikers or Widow Anchors. So they don't really play a lot of monster hand traps per se, but just because they're not hand trapping you 3 or 4 times in your turn, don't think that you're gonna just be scot free because they'll have like 5 back row, which are all hand traps or interactions in that sense, or non-engine spaces. And then combo decks suffer because they don't have the ability to play a lot of hand traps. Their hand traps is quite limited. A combo deck might run between 9 non-engine slots to 12 non-engine slots. Um, and it really does impact it because it's not like you're going to get hit with 4 or 5 different hand traps on one turn. You might only get hit with 2 to 3 hand traps on a very very broken hand, or you might only get hit with 1 hand trap on an okay hand. So combo decks don't have a lot of hand interactions. Like they're not going to be able to play Flua, Ash, Impum, Bell, Droll, Ghost Ogre. Like you're not going to be able to play 15 hand traps in a combo deck. So yeah, and now we're just going to talk a little bit about how I normally would go about building a deck and the thought processes that I have and how I choose my non-engine. So number one is I always liked playing a 7-to-3 ratio. So what does that mean? You'll have 7 engine cards to 3 non-engine cards. So in a 40 card deck, that's 3 times 4, which is 12. So I liked playing around 12 hand traps in my deck. I found that if I start pushing that number beyond to 15, maybe even 18, I start running into issues where I'm drawing too many hand traps and not enough starters. So I liked having that number, that good number of 12. So 7 is to 3. And most of the time, if you're looking at the meta, the, let me rephrase that. So now we know you calculate how much space you have for non-engine. And now you need to ask yourself, what is the non-engine that you should use? So for example, the number one things that define the non-engine you are going to use is the best decks in the room. Not necessarily the best deck, the number one deck, because you're not going to verse the number one deck for 5 times in a row on a locals. You might run into it once or twice, but you're going to run into a variety of decks. And what are the decks that are most performing? And I always look at budget, because I feel if the best deck is normally the most expensive deck, you're not going to run into it a whole lot. But the decks that you are going to run into a lot are the decks that are more budget, more accessible, and easier to play. So for my example is Sky Strikers. I feel I'm going to see a lot of them. Mutsurugi, I'm going to see them almost every round in one way, shape, or form, because even if they're playing Exodia, all of a sudden they're activating pre-prep. So things like that. And when you're building it, I feel like you need to know what hand traps are going to be in most decks, what hand traps are going to be in certain decks. So we're just going to talk now about the basic hand traps that I think you will find in 8 to 10 out of 10 deck lists, no matter what deck they are playing. And that is number one, in every deck list, in every deck I feel is going to be playing Malchami Fluoros. This is the strongest Fua. This is the strongest Malchami. It's the closest that we have to Maxi, and it is also ridiculously printed to where everyone has access to these cards. These cards can go up to like $3 or $4 per copy, and that's really good because when they got released, they were unobtainable, almost 2,000-ish rands each. So every deck I feel you are going to run into a Malchami Fluoros. To counter it, every deck is going to play Ash Blossom. Is Ash a good card? Not necessarily. But Ash becomes very good when your opponent is trying to fool you or charm you and you Ash it to stop that. That's when Ash is good. And Ash becomes really good to the point where it's almost bannable or limitable. I don't think they will limit it, and I hope they don't, but there has to be a way to balance this, because when you are going first, open your hand, it's full combo. You build a board. Your opponent maybe threw 2 hand traps, wasn't enough. You made a board, full combo them. And now they need to play into that board. They draw 1 card, so they had 5, drop 2, draw 1, that's 4. Now they need to play into a board of monsters, of negates, interruptions, whatever, and an Ash Blossom that just says negate your starter, negate your extender, negate whatever. That's when Ash becomes really toxic, really bad, really strong. Bad for your opponent is when you have to play into a board and they have Ash. That's when it's a death sentence. And then the next card that's on the list is Infinite Impermanence. These 9 cards, I can comfortably say, are in majority of the decks, if not in all the decks. And these 9 cards are cards that I feel you should always play in your deck. Whether your deck be Cool Tune, branded, or whatever, these 9 are what you want. Imperm is on the questionable side, but I do believe Imperm is a very strong card. Right, now we're just going to go through a whole lot of hand traps, a whole pile of cards here that I have, and I'm going to talk to you guys about them Are they good? Are they not good? And etc. So next one is Dominus Impulse. So I want to go with Impulse first because if your deck is looking something like this, Impulse, Ash, Fuas, Imperms, you are either going to be playing Mitsurugi or you are playing Malice. These cards, Impulse and stuff, is really strong if your deck can accommodate them, if your deck can accommodate it. And you're not going to run into an Impulse in a Cool Tune matchup or so. So you need to know if your deck can play Impulse, it should be playing Impulse. It's a very strong card. It's one of the strongest hand traps I've come across in a long time. Next on the list is Dimensional Shifter. If your deck can play Shifter, you play it. There's not a lot of decks that can play Shifter, and it should get banned. So, yeah. So, I just wanted to get through these specific ones. And yeah, that's it. It'll be the Impulse, Shifter. Think of Dominus Spark around year 2, and then Lupus. Not Izuna, just Lupus, because Lupus is the hand trap. Izuna just summons herself and dumps the hand trap. Those 4 cards, Spark somewhere, they can only be played in decks that allow you to play with them. So, Malice, Flawanderiz, Doomsy, I think, Vanquish Soul, Mitsurugi, Malice, maybe Bandit. No, I don't think Bandit can play this. It has light monsters. And then, now that we look at this, okay, these are hand traps that are specific to certain decks that are really good into the format. They're really good into the meta, really good into the boards. And you should always look to put in these unfair cards if your deck can accommodate them. Lupus I wanted to bring out here because it's quite interesting. I personally feel that Lupus might become a 2 to 3 off card in a few decks in some time, and maybe not that far into the future. If you don't have Lupus, I would suggest looking around to see if you could grab a copy. I would suggest seeing if maybe someone is willing to trade a Lupus just to have 1 or 2 in your collection or with you. Because I see in a format where this card could be summoned and used its effect to make a Typhon turn 0, and with that Typhon, it will stop your opponent from activating a lot of cards with big effects. Very important. Also, Lupus into Typhon, Typhon swing, make Zeus detach 2, blow up their board, normal summon and full combo them is something to really be aware of. It can happen, it does happen, and if it happens to you, you will know how bad it feels. Right, now we're going to go into a bunch of other hand traps I have here, and I want to talk to you about playability, if it's dropped down, should you play it or not, and then pros and cons about them. So it's going to be all over the place because I just pulled these out, and here we go. Maybe we can make it a little bit better. Purlia, and then we have Meows somewhere here. They haven't arrived yet, but Purlia. Summon from the hand, draw a card. Sure, everyone knows that. There's not many decks that are summoning from hand for you to gain this advantage. The only time this becomes somewhat decent is in the Cool Tune matchup. But even in a Cool Tune matchup, you'd think you'd be going +3 because they normal summon 3 times. But you don't have to normal summon 3 times. There's ways to play around it so where you can only give them potentially one Purulia draw. I wouldn't recommend playing Purulia right now, unless your locals is filled with Flwanderees, then absolutely play it. But that's not happening. So Purulia has been downgraded. Maybe side piece, maybe even binder. Next one, Retaliating Sea. This card was really good in Draco Tail. Not in Draco Tail, but against Draco Tail. Because if you would activate Branded Fusion, Rahu or Ketu, those three, then they would chain the Retaliating Sea, and now you're under a shifter. In theory, it's good against Cool Tune because if they go Synchro Overtake or Cool Tune Synchro, you chain the Retaliating Sea, and boom, they're under shifter. Now, with Synchro Overtake being limited to one, you don't always want to start your play with Cool Tune Synchro. So if they start going normal summon, effect, add, then they go Cool Tune Synchro, and you go Cool Chain Retaliating Sea. It's not going to be that great because they already have the board on body, and they just add, make, and then they can beat over it, or they can pop it, or whatever. I don't know what they can do yet. But I think Retaliating Sea is no longer needed in the side deck. I do comfortably believe that you could maybe push this out for other cards. So that's Retaliating Sea. It's in the bad tier, if I had the tier list. Then we're going into the side frames. And then we put the brick because he's always there in the hand. Gamma, Delta, Driver. This is more specifically for Cool Tune because I think Cool Tune plays this more than any other deck. But here's the thing. I do believe you guys should be looking into more and more deltas. The reason why, I said it once, I'll say it again, I'll say it 100 times more if it needs to be said. Budget players make up the majority of the players. You are not going to fight and go up against 5 Cool Tune matches, 5 locals in a row for 5 months straight. Not going to happen. You are going to find guys who are playing budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks, or they'll take a budget engine and put it into a more budgety deck to try and make their more budgety deck a little bit more boom. Think of like your local legend that's playing Exodia Mitsurugi, or something like that, or Sky Striker Exodia Mitsurugi. They'll take those good engines that are reprinted and are now more accessible, Mitsurugi Sky Strikers, and push them into whatever cards that they own. So that's why I say, I feel right now, even if you are not playing Cool Tune, Delta needs to be in your deck or in your side deck in some way, shape, or form. Because this allows you to now completely kill off an entire Mitsurugi player. Because let's say they go Mitsurugi Ritual. Where are you summoning from? Summoning from your hand. You don't have a way to stop that. Delta. Danzo. Mitsurugi, summon from deck. Ash, behind the Delta. Done. Turn is finished. You don't need to worry about it. When they go engage, I'm not going to change anything to your engage. Thinking on engage, maybe? Well, then they go chain linkage to pop the engage to summon the 0. Oh, trying to do that. Delta. Now it becomes really good. I feel Delta is a very good card that you should be looking into play. Also, if the Cool Tune player's hand is really bad and they maybe is going Cool Tune Synchro in the draw phase, Delta, like this card has now, I feel, gone better than Gamma because Gamma is at 1, but this hits a lot of cards, and also getting the ability to remove that card off the field. It's very, very nifty. So Delta is something you should really be considerate of. Gamma is Gamma. Now, this is something I want to talk to you guys about. This would be in the cool tune videos that I'm going to make, but let's say you're a cool tune player, or let's say your opponent is a cool tune player, and they have no cards on the board. You got nothing. And you got shifter. Yes, I'm going to beat my opponent. I'm going to shift him. I'm going to beat him. Draw phase. Anything in draw? No. Shifter? Why did you shifter cool tune play in draw phase? They weren't going to put anything in the graveyard. They don't have the thing. And now because you shifted them and they don't control a monster, they just go gamma, bang your shifter up, summon the driver, you gave them 2 bodies, negated your shifter. You're going to look really dumb. If you are versing a cool tune player and you have shifter, hold the shifter, wait for them to commit to a body on the board. So if they summon Rico, Mix, or Q, because those are your 3 starters that you would normally summon, and they go effect, get chain, impalm, whatever, or you just go shifter. Because now when you shifted them, the only point of interaction to stop that is maybe a potential synchro to add the monsters, get them into the grave. And if they do that, delta, get rid of it. They don't do anything and they allow it to go. They go into a monster, gamma, out the monster, out the problem. Don't know why I just told you how to kill cool tune, but there you go. So that's what makes it really good. And I understand, okay, no, I want to play around thrust or talents. If you're shifting certain decks, even if they thrust and talent you, the damage is already done. This is lingering. So just something to know about on shifter. And if you're a cool tune player, make sure they gamma you, make sure they shifter you and you gamma them. Every time they draw shifter, you will draw gamma. And they will always misplay because they don't watch my videos. They will shifter you when you got no cards. Joel and Lock. Joel and Lock. Stocks are up. The bird is flying high. This card is very close to S tier right now. I genuinely feel maybe Joel and Lock is potentially better than Flua at times, but Joel and Lock, again, budget players. You're going to see Mitsurugi. You're going to see Sky Strikers. These 2 little birds, cook them. They're not going to be able to do their full combo. They're not going to be able to go wild on you. Joel and Lock just brings everything to check. Don't get caught without it. Put in your main deck. Nib. Nib is a bit awkward because let's look at the format again. Branded doesn't necessarily play into Nib. Okay. Sky Strike, I don't think can play into Nib, even if they tried their hardest. So they're out. Doom Z plays into Nib if they play it incorrectly, and plays around Nib if they play it correctly with a Regulus. So that's your best match that Nib can work in. And it only works if your opponent misplays. So it only becomes good when your opponent is bad. And if you start going higher up in the tables, let's say table 1, 2 to 1 to 8, unlikely they're going to be that bad. Maybe table 8. But if your card is only good when your opponent is bad, is it a good card? So I think for that reason, Nib is pushing further down, might even be binder worthy alongside the Purulia. And yeah, just while saying that, it's kind of funny. I say that Nib is only good if your opponent is bad. And likewise, you can say Shifter is only good because it makes your opponent bad. So it's a noob card. But yeah. Next one is Ghost Bell. Bell is really good this format. Really, really good this format. The ability to hit almost, I think it can hit all of the cool tune names because they add from Graveyard. They could hit Synchro Overtake, I think, and it can hit a lot. But Bell is also good because it hits the other two decks that I keep going on about. Bell will hit Mitsurugi. Preparation, Ghost Bell. Prayers, Ghost Bell. Army Effect to come back, Ghost Bell. Futsu to Ghost Bell. Kusanagi to add, Kusanagi to add back Ritual, Ghost Bell. And then you go to Sky Striker match. Zero Effect, send itself to summon 2, Ghost Bell, because it summons from deck. So it's really, really good. It's a really fun card, and maybe in a branded match there'll be like this thing to Fallen at Virtues to Reborn, and you can bell it. I think you might be able to bell the Ecclesia Synchro because it does summon from the graveyard. I'm not 100% sure, but I can double check because I do have the card. Not me flexing my Ecclesia Synchro that I don't play, but oh, that's not good. I don't know where my card is. It is a something. I don't know where my Ecclesia Synchro is. I think it might be in my Dragon Link deck. There's here. Right, what does she say? During the main phase quick effect, you can banish this card until the end phase, not cost. And if you do special summon one Fallen Albaz, a lower monster, or that monster that mentions it, from your deck or grave. Yes, so you could definitely bell this. So sometimes even bell is good in against branded. So bell stocks are at a high, maybe just as high as Droll and Lock. So that should be into your deck. Then we got Ghost Ogre. Now, again, this is almost exclusively for Cool Tune players. If you're not a Cool Tune player, just don't. You can end the video here. But yeah, Ghost Ogre is really good. Now, what I like about Ghost Ogre is I don't think you should play it as a 3-off, maybe 1-off at most, or 2-off in the side. But what you're using this for is when they go in the Doom Z and they use the Xyz to rank up or whatever, just Ghost Bell that thing. Fallen Albaz discard to fuse, Ghost Bell him. He's gone, they can't fuse. They just went -1. And what's really cool about Ghost Bell is if you go, I do believe it's Q. If this card, nope. If this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 tuner from your hand deck. Yeah. So if you go Q, then let's say you got enough cards in your hand. You got Ash, Veiler, Rotary, Imperm, whatever. You got a whole lot, and you don't need more tuners or whatever. You can always go Q, summon Ogre, and then you just carry on. Synchro it off with a Rotary, make track maker, this. Look at the top of the deck, craft up the hand a little bit. And what's cool about Ghost Ogre is you can send her from the field to the grave, so not on the Ash, not on the Shifter, but you can send Ghost Ogre from field to grave, pop a card on the field, like pop a monster, pop a spell when it activates. So it's a really nice card because even though it doesn't negate the body, if they are going, let's say, normal mix to add, and you go Ghost Bell, pop their mix. They just add, but now they're out the body. So that's really good. All right. I didn't know this video is so long, but I'm gonna try to wrap it up fast. Cool tune players. We'll start with the more obvious one, Veiler. You do need level 1s. Veiler is a very strong card. It's also really good because you can use Veiler as a chainable. So for example, you can use it to trigger your Zaland a lot more easier. Let's say they got another card on the field that you don't want a Zaland negate, but now they got something there. You can, even though it's not going to activate its effect, you can chain Veiler to stop it from activating its effect, chain Zaland to negate something else. And then Mono. Mono is nice. I think the best effect of Mono is the burn effect, where if it's used as a material, but it's not something you really want to be playing. Personally, I don't think it's worthy or strong enough to go into the main deck. Might not even be strong enough to go into the side deck. So yeah, your little tier list in inverted commas. Main deck Droll, main deck Ghost Bell. This is mostly for cool tune players. Those are all ass for the main. Main deck Imperm, main deck Ash. Fua, I'm in it back and forth from, but now this is why I say you main deck Fua. And yeah, maybe that should be in another video and explaining why you should main deck them. But these are the cards that I think should be in your main or side in some way, shape, or form, alongside the Delta and Driver, and 1 to 2 Ogres at max. So yeah, these are the cards that I expect to be seeing a lot of. I'm not going to include Harmonia here. 1, because I don't have Harmonia, and 2, because not every deck can play Harmonia. It's not being played in Doomsday or Strikers, so you don't have to play around it too much. But yeah, that's it for the video. Next video, talk a little bit about board breakers, which ones are good, which ones are not good. These videos are more for cool tune because I'm playing that deck. This is the deck I'm going to be using for a few months till the next ban list, and it's going to be my main deck. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys for the board break.